first conference title under fifth-year head coach Sean Kupferberg for the Howard Bison. On the other side, FAMU has won 13 titles, perennial powers within the MEAC, with the last one coming in 2009. Each of these teams coming in red hot, the hottest in the conference. 14 match win streak for Florida A&M and 15 for the Howard Bison. Inside the William Heitch Center on the campus of the University of Maryland Eastern Shores, we are just about ready to get things underway. And both of these teams were quite excited and ready to go. Prior to the match, we saw a lot of excitement and energy, and it's filling this atmosphere as we get underway. Just a tip over from Garcia, number 4 in black. Also, you mentioned Kayla Donaldson. Take a look out for her, but the Bison come out with the first point of the match.
Bison putting on some serving pressure early on. You're going to see some long rallies, and it's going to be very important to stay with it on that second, third, and fourth effort to win those long rallies.
Elena Dimitrova setting up for the Rattlers, and Donaldson with the free ball over. Dug out by Tamia Dockery. So Dockery sets Donaldson on the left pin. Nice dig. And right there at the net is Jessica Young, the 5'11 junior outside.
As you can see, it's very difficult to get the ball to the ground. You're going to see these really long rallies, and then finally at the end, it's Howard who prevails, and that's 2 in a row. So it's going to be a patient game for the Rattlers, hanging in there and trying to be patient with how the pace of this game goes. Finally, they're getting themselves on the board here.
When you talk about Howard, they've only dropped 3 sets to MEAC opponents this season, one coming in yesterday's semifinal against Bethune-Cookman as Valentina Carrasco on the serve. Garcia from the left side. Dockery to Young. Nice block there in the middle by Gina Lopez Chavez and Raka Dimitrova. Big stomp after Donaldson and Fields were in on the block.
Yeah, Whitney Fields and Kayla Donaldson timing this one perfect, closing up the seam and just stuffing that ball back to the Rattler side. Set a little bit too tight right there, and it'll be costly. You can see that Howard, they're going to try to capitalize on every single unforced error and opportunity that the Rattlers give them.
Kayla Donaldson, the MEAC Player of the Year, serving it up, trying to extend this lead and fins it off. Wow. Just knocked over by Catherine Broussard, one of the seniors on this group.
And that play kept alive in the backcourt by Kayla Donaldson. She's showing you right away why she is that MEAC Player of the Year. Offensively, playing great defense. She can do it all.
Quick break taken here. 5-1 Howard with the early lead. The Howard University Bison on top 5-1 here in the first set of this MEAC Volleyball Championship, and the Bison leading the conference in hitting percentage, opponent hitting percentage, assists, kills, blocks. They have been the dominant force really the last 2 years in the league. And they continue to look hot here early. Fields once more, the senior middle blocker out of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan.
Whitney Fields, 123 kills coming into the tournament, hitting .316, so very efficient out of the middle. And there's another tough serve by Howard. And the big difference is aggressive serving from the back line, putting the Rattlers in all sorts of trouble. And right now, they are reeling just a bit. They're going to have to settle things down, pass the ball so that they can execute and run their offense.
This could be a very quick afternoon for the Rattlers if they don't mount some kind of attack, as the Bison are just rolling early on. So don't come my way. Short swing my way. Fields, Broussard once again.
Broussard, I thought, got most of that one, pressing over the net. The senior putting it down.
And finally that breaks the run for the Bison.
Great angle there by Gina Lopez Chavez. Getting up early. She's 6'1", just a freshman. And really a senior. Lopez Chavez, she's going to have a big one in the middle because of her length and her size. She needs to be a difference maker. Ooh, a tough double contact call. The first double contact mishandled ball that we've seen this afternoon, and so they are going to be setting the standard there. A little too much spin. Double contact gets called immediately.
And just a misfire from Lopez Chavez, so 8-point lead for the Bison.
And that ball hits the antenna, and wow, interesting. The line judge actually called the ball hitting the antenna. The down referee called a net violation on Howard, so the point's going to go to Florida A&M.
We're seeing already that Elena Dimitrova is having some difficulty setting that ball as Lopez Chavez is right there on the block, but they've got to clean that up.
Love Lopez Chavez waiting patiently, reading, and then pressing over the net. Perfect time, one-on-one block, not an easy task.
And right in the sweet spot in the middle of the court is Broussard.
Yeah, I call that intelligence, volleyball IQ right there. Going up, knowing that you don't have a big swing at the ball, and then taking a little off it, a little finesse, rolling it right into the sweet spot.
And she's undersized at the outside hitter position at 5'7". As Journey Farrell comes in to serve. First swing we've seen from the MEAC co-rookie of the year, Nicole Abreu.
I really like that shot as well, so giving it right back to him right there. A little line shot down the line. It's not all about power. It's about finesse. It's about knowing the court where they're playing defensively against you, and you got to hit those open spots.
Dockery to Broussard. And again, look to be some miscommunication and right back for the Rattlers defense. And Broussard will drop back behind the service line, coming out of Harvey, Louisiana. Just a steady presence for this group. She was really the first big recruit for Coach Sean Kupferberg.
And, Broussard is she's such an athlete, number 7 for Howard. She jumps well, she plays smart and consistent, and that's what you want to see out there. If you play consistent volleyball and you're an athlete and can jump as well as she does, you're going to have some success out there.
Dimitrova out of Bulgaria, the home country of her head coach, Tony Trivanov. Nice dig there. Blink your eyes. The Rattlers could be mounting a comeback here as Coach Trivanov in his 20th season in Tallahassee. Played in the pros in Bulgaria and then moved to the U.S. Some beach volleyball, so he's part of the Sand Club Dane, just like you.
Yeah, I love it. The volleyball community, it's a small community, and you cross paths here and there, and it's just wild to think that he's been here for 20 seasons and had so much success, and then they're going for that 14th MEAC title here this afternoon.
A wicked cross-court angle from Dimitrova. Radka, you heard of Elena. Here's her twin sister, Radka.
Radka, that set's way too outside. Usually that's going to end up an error, but Radka, Dimitrova, pulls out the smart angle shot. You don't see him that sharp very often.
Balancing with the tip shot there for the dig is Dimitrova. Then Garcia blocked at the net.
That ball just out of bounds. Now 14-8, but you got to give a lot of credit to Florida A&M. The Rattlers, they're tenacious. They have that fight in them, and they could have easily laid down, but they're trying to chip away at this lead, try to get back in this one quick.
And Dockway too long on the serve, and now that lead continues to be cut down again. This match was 8-1 just a few points ago in favor of the Howard Bison. Definitely too long for Carrasco.
Serving's been a huge difference so far. I think Howard has really established himself as serving tough, and on the flip side of things, Howard has passed the ball a lot better because Florida A&M not taking those risks quite yet to try to get some aces. You have to go back to that back line really with intent every time, not just to keep that ball in, but with intent to rattle your opponent, get them out of system, or to get an ace. There's a nice deep float, but you see it's handled pretty well by Howard.
And just too much on that one from Garcia, so keeping their distance. Now out and up by 6. And right through 2 defenders is Garcia. You see what she can do if given an opportunity, the right set, and boom, she was able to punch it through.
Yeah, it's wild to think she's just a freshman, so athletic, and she's a leader. Coach told me that, you know what, she wants the ball, and she calls for it, and for a freshman to step in and to take those leadership qualities right away is something special. You know she's going to be quite the athlete here for the next few years.
And while both of these teams are certainly hustling and laying it on the line, Howard is getting the benefit of most of those 50-50 plays. So Carlis Cardoza in the serve, the only local kid on the group, and she's normally pretty stealth from behind the service line, but that one goes beyond the end line. Five points separate these two teams. 2016 MEAC Volleyball Championship here from Princess Anne, Maryland, on the campus of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore.
And now we see a double contact called on the Howard side, so 1-1 in terms of double contact calls. Ball's got to come out a little bit cleaner when you take it overhand with your open hands. Got to come out nice and clean, but it is a judgment call for the head referee each and every time. That ball rifled to the back corner. Smart shot right here on the outside. You see Broussard get up. Instead of trying to bury that thing straight down, she goes for that back line, and usually there's some open spots back there.
Broussard on the serve, and she's leading the way in this match with 4 kills, but nice headsy play by Dimitrova on the other side.
Smart play. As a setter, you don't want to be dumping the ball too often. We call that the deceptive dump. When that ball's up there, instead of setting your offense, you sneak it over on the second contact. That time she completely caught Howard off guard.
Donaldson just terminates that one, smacks it down.
Yeah, Donaldson just so dominant this year. A 4-time Player of the Week. Obviously, we talked about her winning the MEAC Player of the Year award, and she continues to prove why every time that she steps on the court.
Trying to shield herself and get out of the way was Cardoza off of that rifle from Abreu. Morgan Marlborough, first team All MEAC. Senior libero is here in the red jersey.
And ball off the block. Point is awarded to Florida A&M. So, I mean, it's just a 5-point game right now. If they can step it up despite the fact that it seems like Howard has been dominating, Florida A&M's right there. They need to score this point. Oh, that was close. Very close, but the lines judge is right on top of it. He calls it out of bounds, and I think a very important point for Florida A&M.
And look how far back Nicole Abreu serves on the court. You see that in line where MEAC is spelled? That's the in line, but instead she goes out of bounds as if on a basketball court using those boundary lines.
Yeah, and I like that. It's more distance for the ball to move back and forth. And if you have that room, which you don't in every single arena, you know, why not use it? How about this? I mean, Yvette Garcia putting that ball away, and it is just a 3-point lead. Time to stop the bleeding for Howard.
Well, this is a very young team for Florida A&M University. I mean, you look up and down the roster for Tony Trifonov, and looking at the young lady right there, Maria Yvette Garcia, she's one of the freshmen. There's just freshmen and sophomore littered all throughout that lineup. Only 2 seniors on this group, so there's a lot of pressure because many of them have not made it to a tournament of this caliber to this point, and yet they've been able to handle it seemingly very well, sweeping their way through the first round and the semifinals with limited tournament experience.
Florida A&M so strong. 13 MEAC championships. And then you just see that from 2001 to 2009, just complete domination.
They have been so good under Coach Trifonov. They finished in the top 25 at one point under his tenure. They hosted a regional the same year that actually Sean Kupferberg for Howard University was the head coach then at the time for Jacksonville University. Picked up a tournament win, their only tournament win, in the first round against Winthrop in 2004. So this is a group that comes in with a steady tradition.
Much needed point there, and the kill will go to Kayla Donaldson getting in the act. And that's what you do. You go to your strong player in the clutch when you need it the most. That's what you go. You go to the power and your strongest tendency.
So Donaldson with 3 kills here in this first set. And just rejected in the middle. Deja Martin.
This is a perfect read by Whitney Fields, waiting, reading, and then jumping and penetrating over the net, nowhere to go, and that's a much-needed point to get the momentum back to Howard. You know, they started out on fire, but it's been the Rattlers from Florida A&M who have really come back strong, and that may be just enough to get Howard back on track to close out this first set.
Well, Fields with 3 blocks so far this afternoon. Remember, folks, we've got back-to-back-to-back-to-back women's basketball champions on our air again tonight. That's the number 3 Yukon Huskies. They're in Baton Rouge to battle the Bayou Bengals. There we go. Of LSU at the Pete Maravich Center, 5:30 Eastern on ESPN. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. And so the Howard Bison on top, 22-7, 5-point lead. Sean Kupferberg, 5th year as the head man of the Bison, 2-time MEAC Coach of the Year, including this year, and for good reason. I mean, his team has come alive from the time that he took over, 1-23 in his first season, and since that time, they've had a couple of back-to-back 20-win seasons. You see there, and another one here in 2016.
And he was funny before the match, as any good coach knows. It's like the homework has been done, and he could just tell it's out of my hands now. It's up to my players to step up to this occasion. And he said it's been tough, because in this tournament, you started Friday, you played back-to-back, you played Saturday, now you play Sunday. So 3 matches in a row, and that can be difficult for some of the players.
The MEAC champion will advance to the NCAA tournament. As Donaldson made the trip with the team a year ago, they fell to Penn State in the first round.
I'll tell you what, despite the back-to-back-to-back, the players have responded. You come out, you're playing on adrenaline, you're playing with so much energy because you know what's on the line. Like you just said, a chance to play in the NCAA tournament, and that's what it's all about.
And one of the things that actually affected the FAMU roster is Nair Canessa, one of their top middle blockers, went down with an injury, sprained her ankle in the 3rd set against Norfolk State. She led the league in aces, so they're missing her. But everybody, as Coach Kupferberg told us, is dinged up this time of year.
Yeah, that's what happens. You have to face some adversity throughout the season. Other players have to step up when there's holes in your offensive lineup because of injuries, and I think, Howard's done a really good job with that.
And they've faced adversity and come back, match point.
Ooh, I don't know if I like that call. It's an overcall by the head referee on Howard. Looked like that ball was on top of the net. Remember, if there's any part of the ball on top of the net, then it is fair game. The question is this all the way over the net? We don't know. It was close.
It was
in real time, very difficult to make the call.
Marlboro, Dockery, Young. Good rallies in this first set, but it's the Howard Bison, the defending MEAC champions, that take set number 1. So we'll step aside, and we hope you come back for the second set here in Princess Anne, Maryland. Well, the hot streak continues with the Howard Bison as they are on top 1-0 here for the MEAC title, which is on the line. And look, before the match, the Bison were completely loose. Now, if you looked in their locker room, you would have thought they were celebrating their 2nd consecutive championship. They hope to be doing so. But this is pre-match day. And can you imagine post-match?
I love this energy. This is how you want to come out and check out Coach getting in on the action right there. Sean Kupfer doing his. That's what you want your team. You want them loose. You don't want to be tight and stressing about this big match ahead. You want them to be loose so they can go out and do what they've practiced to do. And when you see a coach loosen up like that, it's contagious. It just goes right down the ranks of the players. And then they feel like, hey, this is fun. At the end of the day, we're having fun. And I'd be really happy if I was in his position watching his loose, and they came out on fire. They did what they needed to.
They did. I just wanted them to get low. If he would have just gotten low, do a little juju on the beat or something like that.
You can't ask for too much.
Then I would have given him a tip. Look, I give him like an 8.5, 9 for that. I loved it.
Right, and any coach that gets over a 7, that's huge.
So coming out of the break, this is a Howard Bison team that has held opponents to a 122 hitting percentage. That's the best. FAMU hit just over that at 162, but still holding them at bay for the most part.
Now that's pretty impressive. Holding your opponent to hitting .122 throughout the year. That's best in the nation. No other team in any conference can say that they have done that. And when you're facing a team like that, you know they're going to keep you down. It is difficult. Like you said, Florida A&M, they hit 162, so I guess they're above that average, so that's a positive. But Howard hit 225 and were much more efficient in the longer rallies.
Well, Nicole Abreu, the freshman out of Lima, Peru, one of 4 young ladies from Peru. That's also the home country of the assistant head coach, Mariela Trivanoff. Also happens to be the wife of FAMU's head coach. So net violation on Dockery. And the Rattlers start off the second frame with the first point.
That's kind of the tone you want to start off. Remember, I said serving definitely went to Howard that first set. The Rattlers of Florida A&M, they have to put a little more pressure on Howard, and that's a big blast from the outside by Jessica Young.
Young coming in from Arizona to transfer.
Nice quick hit, using the block to get it to the floor. Oh, an absolute power right there by Deja Martin, but she ran out of court. Almost took us out here on the sideline.
Got a chance to talk with the all-conference performer on yesterday. A young lady has a lot of confidence. We mentioned the 2 seniors on the team. She's one of the 2.
Wow, 6 and 13. Fields and Young up big on the stuff block on the outside. Right there, they know the ball's going to the outside to Garcia, their star player. So what do? They set up, they press over, stuff that ball straight down, and right now, Howard is looking really strong up at that net.
They had 4 blocks in the first set, and a couple more here, and we've still got a long way to go.
So smart down the line, taking a little off. It's not about 100% every time on the power meter. You can take some down, trickle it down about 70%, and sometimes place it where they're not. And right there, Broussard has done it many times already.
She had 15 kills against Bethune-Cookman on yesterday. She was one of those players who carried a lot of the load, especially earlier in her career. We mentioned how she was the big-time recruit, 2-time All-American coming out of high school as Howard is up 5-2. Broussard was the go-to player, but as Kupferberg was able to get more athletes in, like a Donaldson, like a Young, she's been able to be a great contributor.
Smart away from body shot right there by number 13, Jessica Young. Look at, she gets up, beautiful set on the spot by Dockery, and then it is Young finding that deep corner.
Well, just the first year with the program, and we've seen just how dynamic she can be. So another early break here in the set. Howard up 6-2. With only a few weeks left in the regular season. We'll have the exclusive reveal of the college football playoff top 25 rankings Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Reese and the guys will break them down from the top to the bottom. As always, it's available streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN.
You know, I gotta say, from a personal standpoint, I'm a big underdog fan usually, but in this match, it was so clear-cut that these two teams were the strongest, I believe, in the conference. So I definitely wanted to see them go head-to-head. So that came true for us, and now we're just hoping that this becomes a battle. But for the Rattlers right now, they've been passing that ball a little too far off the net, and their offense a little bit too predictable, and Howard has been making them pay for it.
You have to start to question, does the experience of this Howard group for many of these players, they've been here before, they played in last year's championship match. And on the other side for FAMU, their youth and inexperience, is it showing them?
I think FAMU knew that this was going to be a massive test for them. They come in this with a 14-match win streak, so the confidence is there, but always in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I know we're going to run in to that team on the other side, Howard, who's got a 15-match win streak, and what are we going to do when that happens? Right now, there's another double contact called up at the net by head referee Scott Hanley. He is really called a tight match so far. He set the precedent early on, so the players knew what was coming, so haven't been many disputes, but we've seen about 3 or 4 mishandled set violations called already.
And it's terminated right down the middle from Gina Lopez Chavez. Leads the MEAC in hitting percentage at .378 coming in. Played on the Peru national team in the 2016 Pan Am Games. Great dig there from Morgan Marble.
And another double contact. So it is really getting tight after a beautiful dig. You mentioned it right there. Morgan Marlborough, the libero, a 7-time Defensive Player of the Week in the MEAC this year. So she has been dominant.
Leads the conference in digs, a very aggressive player, and what a pancake dig there from Valentina Carrasco to keep the rally alive.
Oh, unfortunately, the Rattlers aren't going to win that point, but how about Valentina Carrasco defensively? This is a great look at the pancake. Look at her start, read, and then she starts pursuing. Last second, lays that hand on the ground. Look how high she gets that ball to come up for a pancake shot like that. Just incredible. Great defense in the backcourt.
Relentless pursuit, that's what her coach said of her, and the point does not go to FAMU, even though Dimitrova is trying to argue her point.
See, there's that pass. About 15 feet off the net is difficult. That time they tool it out of bounds. No, the block actually hit the offensive player is the call. So Maria Garcia not happy about it at all. Here's the block, and does the ball go off her shoulder?
I don't think
It is so hard to tell.
It's hard to tell there, but I don't think so. It ricocheted off
The
top
net.
tape, yeah, but I don't think it went off of Garcia. And unlike we've seen in some of the other conferences,
Another double contact. He's very particular on how that ball is coming out of the setter's hand. So some unfortunate turn of events for the Florida A&M Rattlers. That touch call could have gone either way. The line judge seemed to be all over it, and so they lose that point, and then right away another double contact called on their setter. So you blink an eye and all of a sudden it's 12-4, and Howard is dominating again.
And again, no benefit of having the replay. Some conferences have adopted it, but it's not, again, an edict across all of college volleyball as of now. But certainly it would be helpful, especially in these last 2 points that have gone against FAMU, to have called upon a replay. Tonight, tune in to Sports Center at night with John Buchagras and Stan Ferret. They'll have all the college basketball, NBA, and NHL highlights, as well as the rest of the day in sports, with Boomer and Herm joining the show for NFL highlights and analysis. Sports Center at night on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app, and watch ESPN. Well, Howard has certainly been great. I mean, 28 matches they haven't dropped against MEAC opponents in last year's MEAC championship. Well, they took care of business, taking down the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats in straight sets to win their 8th. The first under head coach Sean Kupferberg, and Kayla Donaldson was named the tournament outstanding performer. 17 kills and 16 digs back on November 22nd of 2015. And Kupferberg was also named the outstanding coach as well, not only of the MEAC, but of the tournament. And you see, just since 2010, it's been a lot of changes. Howard, Hampton, UMES. In the 2000s, it was all in the 90s as well, pretty much dominated by FAMU. They're trying to get back to that point.
Yeah, it's been quite a drought. 6-year title drought for FAMU. But looking at that flashback from Howard, it's something special when you go out there and you actually do it. You can talk about it all day, but when you get that title, you've been there, you got the experience. Nothing can substitute that, and that's what these Howard players have. They have that confidence. They consider this their title to lose, and they're playing like it right now. They're the preseason #1. Remember, they defeated Clemson early on. First time that they defeated an ACC school, beat them 3-1. So all those things add up to them getting here today, and so far they have really dominated.
And you can't not mention playing Notre Dame, another ACC opponent, to 5 sets. They've taken on some other big foes, Coastal Carolina, Penn State as well, wanting to go out the American University, wanting to play the top competition, because Kupferberg said, we want to take that next step. We want to be able to not only make it to the NCAA tournament, but win a couple of matches when we get there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's one thing to get there. It's an entirely different story to get some wins. It is something special to make it into the NC2A. And how about that little reverse drop shot by Tamia Dockery, the 5'8" sophomore setter. First team All-MEAC. We call that the reverse dink. There's some finesse, some style right there, and she knew that was going down as soon as she tipped it.
A lot of style points, just a phenomenal setter. Coach says we cannot go without her. Of course, she's the quarterback of the offense, but she's still all smiles from that last point. I mean, that could have been a da-na-na, da-na-na.
She was so smooth when she did it. It kind of went off one foot, and that's the thing. When you're a setter, you want to be deceptive as you can. And she completely tricked the Rattlers on that play.
Solid serve by Marlborough, service ace there, her 18th of the season. And we see the electricity just coming from the Howard bench and on the court. And one of the ladies who leads that charge is actually Morgan Marlborough. She has got a lot of fire. And watching that one go down the line is Kayla Donaldson.
Nice shot, and you see these broken plays. It seems like Howard is breaking out the smart play. They're not giving you any points. That's the thing. No unforced errors. They're really consistent on keeping that ball in play. They might not have a winner, but they're going to put it in a tough spot and give their defense an opportunity.
And how do you shake this? Again, we saw Howard get out to a strong start in the first set. How do you shake this if you're FAMU, if you want to try to keep it close or competitive, especially going into the intermission?
Right now, Howard is just running off point after point. And that's the thing. With volleyball, you cannot allow a team to get runs of points. You can let them get 1 or 2 here and there, but you can't let them get 4 or 5. And right now, Howard playing beautiful defense. And not only is their defense strong, their conversion from defense to offense is very efficient. Huge hit on the outside by Nicole Abreu, the 6-foot freshman. A little too much heat right there for Howard to handle.
They've got a big hole to climb themselves out of. And FAMU wants to get back in it, but again, the rally scoring error, anything can happen. First 4 sets goes to 25. You have to win by 2. Way to kick that one over. I mean, this net is just shaking and rattling. Broussard gets it over. Here's Marlboro. Dockery in the middle. Is Fields pushing it to the left back of the court. My, oh my, great volleyball there.
There's another long rally where Howard is going full speed every time. Look, this one looks like it's down. Look at the dig into the net. Unfortunately, it ricochets off, and somehow they get that over the net. And then how about the smart play to the corner? Whitney Fields with an overhand set finesse.
Fields has had an all-around good game. So is Jessica Young. So is Kayla Dockery. So is Catherine Broussard. Really, the entire Howard Bison team.
They're on fire right now. They just have stepped up, and the Rattlers continue to try to mount a front, but I'll tell you why the problem that they're having is the passing is in a tough spot, so they're having to set the outside quite often. That's a really beautiful hit cross court right there by Radka Dimitrova. But when the pass isn't there, your offense has to become very predictable. There's a roll shot into the bottom of the net by Young, but right now I'd have to say a lot of the damage has already been done with Howard up to a 21-9 lead. So Howard just 3 points away from a commanding lead. And they've moved the ball around very well. They served the gaps. They've caused some problems for the reception of the Rattlers, and that's been a big difference. And from a physicality standpoint, it just seems like Howard a little bit stronger.
Agreed, but Lopez Chavez coming right back, the 6'3" senior from the middle. And she's a young lady who, again, has some experience. She has to bring that leadership, especially as they go into the locker room. Her career has unfortunately been plagued by several injuries. But they need her more than ever. Jessica Young on the kill. She's got 6, and you mentioned the balance, Dane. I mean, it's Young, Donaldson, Broussard, any one of them can come at you.
Yeah, that's the thing with Howard. You have Morgan Marlboro, who's one of the best defenders in the league, no question about it. Then you got Kayla Donaldson, one of the best offensive players, and then Tamia Dockery, one of the best quarterbacks in terms of setting up her offense. So you put those components together, and you have a really well-rounded team. And like you said, Tamia Dockery also has multiple weapons to choose from. And so that has been a big difference, and it's really showing here this afternoon in this championship match.
Well, set point before Howard can go into the locker room with a 2-0 lead.
Nice hit right there by number 6, Radka Dimitrova, the freshman, tooling the block. Doesn't matter how you get that ball to the ground as long as you win the point. A straight kill, straight down, is the same as tooling it off the block and out of bounds.
There's a break from the back row.
The Rattlers trying to make something happen. Right here, when you're in a position like this, you're probably not going to win this set, but it's about making maybe a couple plays to get you back on track so you can roll into the third set with a little bit of momentum. Like that. Beautiful slide to the back. Gina Lopez Chavez putting that ball away, and look at that. The Rattlers forcing the Bison to call a timeout and think about things, even though they have a 10-point lead.
Yeah, staving off 3 set points from Howard, and on a run, making the Bison talk things over. Well, we've got a 4-time champion on our air in women's basketball tonight. The number 3 UConn Huskies are in Baton Rouge to battle LSU Lady Tigers at the Pete Maravich Center, 5:30 Eastern on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN. Tia Nurse trying to help Gina Oriema maybe gather another title. Could it be? I know there's some tough competition at the top trying to take them down. Notre Dame could be in the mix.
UConn's number 3.
UConn's number 3. South Carolina.
Is that just to mix things up until it gets to the end?
No, it's called, we've got some parity in women's basketball.
Really?
Yeah. Making things interesting.
I'll put my money on UConn.
And interestingly enough, you want to know about the NCAA tournament, of course, we're going to have a lot to say about it, especially you, Dane. I like when you talk about it. We'll talk about it coming up at the intermission, plus stats and highlights from sets 1 and 2. I'm just curious to know if the Nebraska Cornhuskers can repeat as national champions. They are looking strong, and so are the Howard Bison. They take set number 2, 25-14.
The Bison wins set number 2 by a score of 25-14.
And they go into the locker room feeling good about
in the NC2A, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Then look at the Pac-12. Can they return to glory? I like Stanford, I like Washington, but UCLA beat Stanford the other day. Stanford, 4 out of 6 starters are freshmen, so they are going to be on the rise. If not this year, then in years to come. If you look at the Big 12, they're always now knocking on the door. Texas, who won a title back in 2012. But you know what? I really like Kansas. Kansas looks really strong to me, and they have stepped up. The SEC, last Final Four appearance, Florida, way back 13 years ago in 2003. So can they make it happen? Can they go deep into the tournament? I don't know. And then the ACC, they're sneaking up on the pack. So there's a lot of parity out there, but I definitely would give the nod to Nebraska. Remember, this year a little different. The regionals are not preset. If you're a top 4 team, guess what? You get to host the regionals. So are you kidding me? In Nebraska, is anyone going to beat Nebraska at home in the playoffs? So I think the road to the title's got to go through Lincoln, and it is tough to play there.
Well, we just talked about the dominance, of course, of the Big Ten. So you look at Nebraska, you also mention Minnesota and Wisconsin as well. They're the top 3, so they're likely to host along with Kansas and at number 4 of the top 25 poll. But going back to the Big Ten, I mean, are they just going to have to beat up on each other? Could these be 3 teams that we see in the national semifinals?
Yeah. There's no question about it. 14 straight wins for Nebraska. All the confidence, like I told you. Minnesota 22-4. Wisconsin at 24-3 with 9 straight. So neither of these teams will run into one another until that Final Four national championship time. So they will do their thing. But right now, no one can mess with the Big Ten. And you can't really even dispute the fact they are the strongest conference. You know, in years past, you'd say it was the Pac-12, UCLA, Stanford, USC. But right now, there's not a question about it. The 10 is tough, and my favorite is Nebraska, and I would say my biggest dark horse would be Kansas.
Well, Kansas, let's talk about the Big 12 really quickly and Ray Burchard and what he's been able to do in Lawrence. And they have a share of now the Big 12 title, sharing it with the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, Jared Elliott at Texas, 21-4 this year. He always seems to find a way to be in the mix. He was there last year. I expect him to be at that national championship again. But Kansas, I've seen them get hot. They have confidence, they have youngsters, and they have balance.
2 All-Americans and the setter Anisi Havili and the outside hitter Kelsey Payne. More to come. Stats and highlights from the first set when we come back.
Is available.
So in terms of what Coach Tony Tribanov said to, his ladies at the intermission as back-to-back quick points coming for FAMU for a double contact, what was the message?
Honestly, I kind of lost my train of thought because I don't know if I've ever seen this many double contacts called. That's either the 6th or 7th double contact, and it's fascinating because volleyball has gotten to a point where it's a lot looser. The play is a lot looser and a lot we let a lot more go than, say, 15, 20 years ago. And so for all these double contacts to be happening, you hope it doesn't be a determining factor one way or the other. But I had to make the note. I've never seen in two sets, basically, 6 or 7 double contacts called. And they're being called a lot of times on the setter, not an off player. It's interesting.
Scott Hanley, our up official. Kenny Spriggs, our down referee. Kill there from Bison, evens it up at 2 apiece. Dr. Young once again on that right pin coming this way. Thank you for saving me, Dane. As me at the same time as it was going to hit the monitor. I like that. See, that's why, Dane, you are one of the best volleyball players.
It's reaction time.
In the world.
I know the result is if you go out, I got to do the whole broadcast by myself, and so maybe it's self-serving.
I ain't mad at it. Either way, I appreciate it.
No, I'm always looking out for you. The better start right here for the Rattlers. Florida A&M 3-all. So maybe during that little conference break, Trifonov, the head coach, had some choice words to fire them up, to get them going, and hopefully to play to their potential, because ultimately that's what you want to do. You want to get out here, play to your potential. If you meet a team on the other side that plays to their potential and they happen to be stronger, so be it. But one thing you don't want to walk away from the MEAC championships not playing your best volleyball and what you're capable of doing, and we're seeing a much cleaner offense being run right now by the Rattlers of Florida A&M.
Well, Nicole Abreu has been responsible for the last 2 points. A player with just really great instincts. You see, and she can power the ball, but she's got a great usage of shots as well that she could go to. And here's Dimitrova off of Barbaro, and so Florida A&M has the lead.
Yeah, and we've seen it so many times before. A team can get up 2-0 and then kind of take their foot off the gas, think that the match might be over and done, and then the team that is down 2-0 can storm back and take it 5 sets. We're not sure if that can happen here today, but right now this is a much stronger team we're seeing out here for Florida A&M.
Again, the Bison, the #1 North seed, coming into today's match, defeated Bethune-Cookman 3-1 in the semifinals and swept North Carolina Central to open the tournament. On the other side, it's FAMU, who is a perfect 10-0 in the MEAC. They come out of the South, and they won in straight sets, both against Norfolk State and the host school, UMES.
Good defense on that slide offense from Howard. is in the sweet spot. I'll tell you what, Tamia Dockery really has sweet hands. She has strong hands. She puts it to a great location every single time. It makes it very easy for her offensive players to get in position and to really unleash. And she is just a sophomore at 5'8", plays much bigger.
That was Dominique Legger who recorded the kill. Back the other way is Lopez Chavez for the Rattlers.
I like Lopez Chavez. A quick arm. She gets up nice and early. And to top it off, she's emotional. She's a fiery leader out on the court. And I like how aggressive she is, especially on those close balls at the net.
If you were closing your eyes and just held for the whistle, it's another double contact called by Scott Hanley.
Since we've had so many, I think we're, by my count, I think we're at 7 or 8. And there's an ace serve. We haven't seen that out of the Rattlers, so now they're starting to mix it up service-wise and really step things up.
This is the largest lead of the match for Florida A&M.
3-point run right now for Florida A&M. Can they continue? No, it is finally stopped. And we always talk about those runs of points. They have been avoiding the Rattlers, those runs. Finally, they get a run of points, and what do you know? They have a nice little bit of a lead. That's a nice tip that goes down for Howard, and they're going to try to get back on track. But you know what? Howard has been scrappier as well with these long rallies. And when you lose a long rally, it just seems like it takes a little more out of you. When you win it, you just kind of continue on with your business, and that's been the case.
Here's Maria Yvette Garcia. She's not been able to get things going. We featured her in the Open, and she is the power that thunders this FAMU team, but she's not really had the match that we're used to seeing from her.
Yeah, Garcia, I have her right now with just 4 kills, and she's hitting a negative 107, so very uncharacteristic. I figure, you keep setting her, and it's like a shooter in basketball. If you're not hitting the shots, you don't stop shooting. You kind of keep putting it up there until you get things back, and that's what she has to do here in this match. Good up, but the Rattlers unable to convert or control it.
Garcia out of the Dominican Republic, just a freshman, so she's got some time to grow and develop with this program under Coach Tribanoff. Tried to push it to the corner. And right there, Whitney Fields has been so tough at the net. Everywhere you see a black jersey, you see number 6 in white.
Yeah, and reading at the net as a middle blocker is a very difficult task. It's hard to read because a good deceptive setter will throw the ball to the outside and try to kind of deceive what you're doing. That ball is out of bounds by the line judge, but overruled with a touch call by head referee Scott Hanley. Here's the touch. Looks like a good call. Went off the pinky finger, the left side of number 10, Kayla Donaldson. I think we could have seen that in replay. Even though we don't have replay in this conference, that when you see that pinky finger get kind of tweaked,
then you know.
And you know there's that little touch. Sometimes it's so hard to tell unless you have a really high frame rate look. Persistence right there by Howard. Jessica Young, the 5'11 junior, getting a few opportunities there. Finally going high off the hand and getting the kill.
Another double contact called. So Howard now with a 3-point lead.
So 9 double contacts called in the match so far, and it is a bit interesting, but this one definitely closer.
Timeout on the court. We'll step aside as well. 14-11. Howard up in the third set. Well, check out this week on ESPNW.com the top storylines. Washington's Tia Scambray named the ESPNW Player of the Week. Of course, we've got some really important matches remaining that will help to potentially reshape the regular season, plus standings, highlights, and more. Check it out on ESPNW.com.
Powerful hit off the top of the block. Nicole Abreu coming out of the timeout with a full head of steam. She knows what's on the line right now, and I like that. You got to play with a sense of urgency right now. Not when it gets to 20 or 22. You got to do it right now if you're going to get back into this.
Abreu, once again, and one of the things Coach Trigonar says he loves about her most, just 17 years old. That means she's got time. And she's still learning the game. Mom played volleyball. And Jessica Young has honed in on her athleticism and rawness this season, and it's paying dividends now.
Jessica Young just crushing that ball across court. She's got 10 kills, just 2 errors. She's hitting 320 at the moment.
Broussard, and Dimitrova watches that one spin out.
Well, now if you're Florida A&M, right now is where you have to start to make a push. You have to maybe start taking some risks. So far, haven't had a huge serving game, and that's not their game, but they do have to get them in trouble. I like this long float serve. It's not easy to handle, and when they make a dig like this is where they struggle, converting and putting it away, and there it is. That's what they need to do more. Convert on defense, transition to offense, put that ball away, and just start playing some really solid volleyball, which you know that they're capable of doing.
So the Rattlers closing in. And again, they need to win this if they want to extend the match. The best 3 of 5 sets wins it. And we're now at 15.
So they're going to make a game of it here. It's a game to 10. I was always told it's not how you start the sets, it's how you finish it. Look at that serve. The bottom just drops out of it at the end. And Nicole Abreu with the ace. So now Florida A&M with a 1-point lead.
28th service ace from Abreu, and she's got 3 points off the serve in consecutive, and Dominique Cleggett says let's end it right there. She was one of the best blockers last year, but she's turned over a new leaf, and she's been a great offensive power for them.
That was nice right there. But just as I said, at the Rattlers, they needed to step up. They had 4 points in a row right there to take the lead, and finally Howard stopped the run, deadlocked at 16.
Well, it just came off the hands of Marlborough. I think it hit one of the flags.
Yeah, if it didn't hit the flag, that ball was legal. But if you hit any of the obstructions, the roof or anything like that, it's got to stay on your side so you can play it over. If it goes over the net after hitting an obstruction, it's ruled out of bounds. So it just barely hit the flag, but the call had to be made.
Broussard.
I really like Broussard's game. Such an athlete. Knows how to move that ball around. Remember, she's just 5'7", but I'll tell you, she's one of the best leapers out there. Just an explosive vertical jump.
the right back at you from Dockery and Pliggett.
That's just kind of been the afternoon it has been for Maria Yvette Garcia. Nothing going her way. There's the hit, and it ends up right back in her lap. She tries to get back out of the way, but to no avail. She only has 4 kills on the day, and we said it at the top of the show. She would have to have a big afternoon if the Rattlers were going to get a victory.
Set in the middle, and nothing Marlboro can do with that from Lopez Chavez. It's 18 all.
Lopez Chavez, such a weapon in the middle, and it really opens up your offense when you have a middle hitter like that, because on the other side of the net, the Howard middle blocker has to respect him.
Another great serve, so PAMU doing it from behind the inline here in this third set.
This is kind of the way that they needed to approach serving from the first whistle in terms of putting pressure on Howard. Finally, it's starting to happen, but the first 2 sets, we didn't really see any of it.
Again, the long rallies have favored Howard, and Donaldson terminates that one.
Dockery to Donaldson.
Yeah. Should just continue with the B&B love.
They are a lethal combination. And talk about lethal. Gina Lopez Chavez is really on her game right now, hitting close to 400. We have 6 kills. I'll make it 7 kills on 14 attempts. Actually 429 with that last kill. She went over the 400 mark, hitting 429.
And again, leading the MEAC in hitting percentage coming into the match.
Oh man, just flying out of nowhere right there is Carrasco. Carrasco's game, so strong. Let's check it out here. Big hit, nice dig in the backcourt by Morgan Marlboro to keep that ball alive, and for Howard to end up winning that point.
That one goes out, so Howard closing in on 25, and that would send this match to its end. FAMU did all the sweeping leading up to today's match because they ran through their opponents of Norfolk State and UMES in straight sets, but here they're trying to avoid the sweep.
Yeah, like you said, Florida A&M has had quite the season. 17-11 overall, 10-0 in conference, and 15 of 16 years they have won the Southern Division title. But you know, in the back of their head, they were waiting for this match against Howard. These 2 teams that have incredible records coming into this. 14 wins in a row for Florida A&M, 15 wins in a row for Howard. But so far, and I mentioned it midway through this match, just from a physicality level, it seems like Howard has a little bit of the edge in terms of vertical leap, explosiveness, and they're controlling the ball a little bit better. Their serve reception just slightly a little better, and they started serving tougher than the Rattlers, but the Rattlers have turned it around, showing that they can serve tough as well. They need to play their game, and I don't think the Rattlers have played to their potential quite yet. If they can sneak this third set, it could change this whole match around.
Well, Howard has only dropped 3 sets to a MEAC opponent this season, 1 coming in the tournament. They're trying to avoid any more if they can make it to 4 points. Get 4 more points here off of FAMU, but you know they're not going to make it easy. Is FAMU, and they even it up. That 21 off the hitting miscue from Donaldson.
Yeah, and that all started with a really nice pass by number 4, Maria Yvette Garcia. and she's trying to make up in other ways. Today hasn't been quite the offensive force that we're accustomed to, but she's playing good defense. She's passing the ball well and trying to have a big impact.
Another pancake dig. We've seen
FAMU's trying to make a move. That was an uncharacteristic roll shot in the bottom of the net for Howard. We haven't seen that up until then. But right now, FAMU, they are doing exactly what they need to do. It's not going to be easy, but they're just 3 points away. You know, Kayla Donaldson, we talk about her being such a great offensive threat, but she had a beautiful defensive play. And then there it is, Donaldson with a little pancake of her own, and she's ready at the net to block, thinking that ball's just going to be rolled into the court, but Broussard rolls it in the bottom of the net. You could almost see Donaldson how confident. She's like, all right, we're going to free ball this over, give me a chance to make a blocking play. That ball almost hit her in the back of the head in the net, so not happy about that. You don't want that to happen at this point of the set.
With only a few weeks left in the regular season, we'll have the exclusive reveal of the college football top 25 rankings Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Reese and the guys will break it from the top to the bottom. As always, it's available streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
I love this point of the match. This is where the pressure is. This is what you played all season for. Most of the pressure, of course, is on the Florida A&M side because they're down 2-0, but this is the type of battle that we expected. Finally, we're getting it here in the third set. That's pass way off the net, and what happens? You can't run your offense. A roll shot that trickles out of bounds, so the tables have definitely turned. The serving pressure is coming from the Rattlers. The Bison from Howard need to right the ship.
Well, when your backs are against the wall, what do? You either fight or you retreat. And Florida A&M has done a good job of fighting back, especially again, as you mentioned, from the service line. The point right back there is Jessica Young.
Again, Tamia Dockery getting it outside to Young, and Young terminating. Pressure play.
The passing set, but my goodness, did Nicole Abreu ever unload on that one? Set point for the Rattlers.
Abreu came in with a full head of steam and unleashed it. Didn't matter if you were in position defensively, that ball with way too much velocity on it.
Dockery to Broussard. Bump set Abreu, and the block there. Again, Whitney Fields has been on so many of those block touches.
Yeah.
I mean, she has been incredibly tough at the net.
And think about it right here. They have to get this point to slow things down, but now the Rattlers can close it out.
Wow, what a play by Dockery, but not enough. As Florida A&M storms back in the third set. They win it 25-23, and they keep this one alive. We're going to set number 4. To a 2-0 lead. FAMU says they weren't playing around, and they take the third frame. It's 2-1 in favor of the Bison. On the left, Sean Kupferberg trying to go for back-to-back MEAC titles for Tony Tribanoff, and the Rattlers on the right-hand side. Well, they've been in this position before. What's the message from both of these coaches?
Well, for Tony Tribanoff, for sure building off that third set, because it was hard to get his team going and playing to the potential that we know that they're capable of after winning 13 make it, 14 matches in a row coming into this one. And it's going to be more of the same. Pass the ball well, but for sure take risks from the back line. It seemed like Howard got a little bit complacent, was kind of on cruise control in that third set. If you're Kupferberg, you're telling them, get back to what we saw in the first couple of sets.
You mentioned the win streaks for both of these teams. The last MEAC title for Florida A&M coming in 2009. It was a 22-year drought for Howard before they won it last year, and they're trying to eye yet another one. These have been two of the perennial powers, really more so for Florida A&M within the MEAC. Kupferberg has done a good job of creating and building that type of culture with this Howard program. So fourth set underway. Maria Yvette Garcia serving for the Rattlers. Jessica Young on the swing. Here's Abreu. She finished out the third set on fire. She keeps it up here in the fourth frame.
And really smart right there for Dimitrova to go out to Abreu. Abreu has had the hot hand. She's really bringing it. She's hitting that ball hard. And you just keep feeding her until Howard has an answer.
9 kills for Abreu, leading Florida A&M. Donaldson on the other side. She's got double-digit kills, the all-time kills leader for HU.
Good defense being played on both sides of the net. Really scrappy. Nothing really hitting the floor. Oh, wow. Can't believe that ball ended up staying in court. Fields and Young teaming up once again. Beautiful technique, pressing back into the court. If you don't press back into the court as a blocker, you get tooled out of bounds. This one, they press into the court and it just stays in.
Quick service errors from both teams, and it's 2-all.
You see that? That's an aggressive serve, though. Going for it, it clips the top of the net. No free ball serves, no just rolling it in just to enter the ball. You got to be offensive-minded when you go to that back line.
The high set for Abreu. Pin ball off with 2 white jerseys.
How about that dig? Just taking it all as Marlboro, and then once again, Howard does not convert. See, that's the difference. Howard, they were converting on all of those. They'd make a defensive play. They would at least keep the ball in play. They weren't going to give you an unforced error into the net, but now we're starting to see that. So who knows? Could there be fatigue setting in? You just don't know. Remember, both these teams is their third match, I should say, in as many days. Another overrule. So, Scott Hanley he's running the show out here, I'll tell you that, because I've seen him overrule a couple of times the line judge. Here's the hit, and that ball looks like it was out by about a few inches.
Yeah, the line judge called it in, and
he overruled that. It looked like the right call.
That one, with the help of the net, gets over from Whitney Fields. Fields with 7 blocks in this match. Senior middle blocker is doing her job exceptionally well. So is Cleggett and Young.
Cleggett and Young involved. It seems like Young is in the mix a lot at the net. She's got great technique, seals the net, no space between her and the net.
Fields with the kill. Rather Broussard.
Yeah, Broussard going high off the block right there. Looked like a nice form to block it. When you see a nice form block, you don't try to challenge it usually. You want to go high off. Oh, a perfectly executed slide to Deja Martin, going off a 1 foot and just crushing that ball straight down the line. Martin looking strong right there.
3-year starter for this group. They've used 3 middles as a rotation throughout the year. But with the injury to Mayura Canessa, it's Martin and Lopez Chavez picking up the slack. So Nicole Abreu is showing why she is the MEAC co-rookie of the year.
She's got a quick arm swing, gets under the ball, and is just unleashing. I like that. She's coming in and giving everything she has, as much power as possible, to put that ball away. And then right back at you is Catherine Bouchard, who has had a tremendous match already. Very consistent, hitting .261, 8 kills.
Dug out there by young Bouchard once again. Good pass and good offense. Dug out by Grosco.
Another double contact violation called, and Coach Kupferberg is up and not happy. I'll tell you what, you can tell he is not happy. He's trying to plead his case right now on that double contact. He's saying that you missed it on the other side. You're calling a tight one on my player, and it's tough to work that out. But we've already had 4 ties here in this 4th set, and right now looks like Florida A&M, they are starting to pull away, maybe a little 2-point lead, and the momentum, you can just feel it in the building that it has completely switched to the Florida A&M side.
Absolutely, and you got to think for this Rattlers group that they want to get over this hump as, boy, Cardozo goes into the stands full steam ahead. Great athleticism helps to save her, but you know, FAMU has been knocked out the last 3 years, including last year. They're hoping to turn the tables and win this MEAC title. They've got some work to do. Welcome back to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore here in Princess Anne, Maryland, the 2016 MEAC Volleyball Championships. And you see Howard trying to win in back-to-back seasons. It's been up for grabs, really, the last 5 years. Prior to that, Florida A&M had an impressive run. They have a league most 13 titles, and they're trying to get one step closer if they can take this 4th set and push it to a 5th frame.
Maria Garcia with a big hit on the outside right there. Been looking for her to start to heat up. Just a freshman, a first-team All-MEAC selection this year, and she has been their go-to. And there's a tough serve, so the serving is tough on the side of Florida A&M, and their passing has been much improved. They've been aggressive offensively, and they have just really taken all the momentum away from Howard, and they're playing the type of volleyball that they're accustomed to playing now. A 5-point run so far. Remember, we were tied at 6 points apiece.
And again, this is just what happens when, you mentioned it, Dane, the first 2 sets, they fly by, all in favor of Howard. They get out to gigantic leads. They win the sets, go into the locker room. Everyone makes their adjustments. And then FAMU comes back roaring.
Double contact. Once again, by my count, we're at, I believe, 11 double contact calls so far, and it's gotten very interesting. It is definitely playing a role in this MEAC championship.
I was going to ask, as Dockery once again, you know what, she's got to practice that. She's got to practice that, because we saw it once, I think in the second set, and here she does it again.
Yeah, but this time she goes to the deep corner. I've never seen a reverse to the deep corner. I've seen it right over the shoulder and short, but she had the wherewithal to see that the defense was bunched up to the net. I'm going to go to the deep corner. Such a smart player, such a high volleyball IQ. And then right back at you, Maria Garcia starting to heat up for A&M.
You definitely don't want her to rev up her engine if you're the Howard Bison, because she is just so tough. And I think there's a quick break on the court. Marlboro appears to maybe hurt herself, going to talk to the trainer. Not exactly sure. She's holding her left wrist.
And she's in all sorts of pain, you can see. And there's some tape on that left wrist as well, but not sure exactly what happened possibly on that last play, whether she jarred it. There's the dive. Yeah, kind of lands on her forearm, so not sure what it is, but she is in tremendous amount of pain, but she's going to tough it out.
Olabunu Okanade, we saw her in the open giving the pre-game speech, and she's inserted into the fourth frame, comes up with a kill.
Dockery puts it right on the spot once again. A good pass, but a misfire offensively. When you see that happen, it shows you how difficult it is sometimes to run that middle hit and to do it really well, because if the timing is just off, just a half second, that's what happens. You misfire and you miss your hitter altogether. I don't think there was a touch on that. And yeah, no touch. That ball went right off the top of the net. The line judge actually was whistling for a touch, but once again, Scott Hanley says no touch. There it is. That's hard to tell. I think that it was half on the net and half on the player's arm. Once again, very difficult to see real time. Nonetheless, it is a point for Howard and their serve.
Fifth tie of this fourth set. Barber on the serve. A net violation called on Howard, so the Rattlers are awarded the point.
There's some interesting turn of events back and forth. Doesn't seem like any play goes down and it's clean. There's either a net going on, a double contact, maybe a touch on the net.
How about Tamia Dockery just taking a swing and then on the second hit, trying to catch the Rattlers off guard, and it ends up netting the Bison a point.
But how about Valentina Carrasco in the backcourt? She's fearless. Look at this, leaning forward, momentum forward. It's kind of a gator dig with her hand open, grabs the ball, and I really love her defense in the backcourt. She is just spectacular, and that's the attitude you have to have if you're going to be a great libero, is you're fearless, and that's exactly what number 15, Valentina Carrasco, is.
That's exactly what her coach called her. Says, look, she has relentless pursuit as a libero. So both teams have questions of the up official over these last few points. All cleared out. And Gina Lopez Chavez out of Peru with a kill.
It's amazing how competitive this has gotten now after what we saw in the first two sets. We've had 6 ties already here in this fourth set. So no team wanting to give up any points. There hasn't been any real big runs of points and big leads. It's just a battle back and forth.
middle for Whitney Fields, but the defense, the transition, on point.
Look at that nice little slide, keeping her hands together. That's what Marlboro does. Her technique is so strong, keeps those arms together, keeps that ball up in the air, and the ball alive for Howard to eventually win the round. Smart play. You see the teamwork right there. Tamia Dockery makes the dig. That means somebody else has to set the ball, and it ends up being Marlboro to the outside. Great teamwork. Chip shot's gonna fall right there for Catherine Broussard. So all of a sudden you're seeing Howard kind of grab things back. This looks like the Howard we saw in the first couple of sets. Really efficient, making no unforced errors, keeping the ball in play, and really giving themselves as many opportunities as possible.
What do you think caused kind of maybe some of those changes? The double contacts kind of get into the heads of really both the setters, or was it just, again, playing more discipline, more within themselves?
For Howard, I think Howard kind of let their foot off the gas. You know, you win 2, you're feeling good, everything's rolling, we're just going to win this thing in 3 and we're out of here, which can happen. But we know that Florida A&M, they're fighters. The Rattlers, they were not going to go down without a fight, and you could tell that they probably had that huddle in between the second and third set. And I'll tell you what, they came out on fire, they worked hard, and they've gotten themselves right back in the mix. And it's really been great to see. As a commentator, I never want to see a blowout. I love to see a battle, a knockdown, drag out, and that's what we're starting to see right now. The Rattlers, they stepped up their game. Howard kind of took their foot off the pedal, and then, boom, Howard is back in action right now, and they look like they're firing on all cylinders. They know they do not want to go to 5 sets. They want to close this thing out.
Well, they dropped last set, which is just the 4th time this season that they've dropped a set to a MEAC opponent, but they do come in on a 15-match win streak for the Rattlers and Tony Trivanoff. They've won the last 14 matches.
Oh, a little tip shot, and we haven't seen Gina Lopez-Chavez error very often. A little finesse shot, just missed a few inches wide. Could be costly as a 3-point lead extends for Howard. Oh my goodness, Dockery in the impact zone. Fearless right there. Talk about fearless. Wow, leaning forward, hands protecting her face. And look at this dig. Whoa, right there, and she controls it nicely. That's impressive right there.
The Bison on a 5-0 run.
Oh, Marlboro missed that one. She was all over it. I think it had a little weird side spin on it and threw her off, because we've seen her dig some really crazy velocity balls with ease. That one just kind of got away from her.
So Gina Lopez-Chavez, who had 9 kills during this tournament, has that number here this afternoon. And Fields on the kill as she trots back to serve.
Now it's getting pressure time for the Rattlers. Howard has stepped up. They've answered the call this time, and it's them with the lead, but there it is on the outside. The big hit by Abreu. Yeah, Abreu has been impressive this afternoon. You got to keep going to her, right?
Right. I mean, it's, coming in and all season long, it was, Maria Yvette Garcia who was their go-to player, but, kind of a complimentary piece to that was Abreu, and sometimes you just got to feed the hot hand. You got to keep going to her. Dimitrova on the outside from the right pin, and the freshman brings the Rattlers within 2.
Abreu with 12 kills today on 40 attempts. So Abreu getting her action in. Nice dig.
There's Marlboro with one of those excellent digs. Back the other way is Garcia. Donaldson watches that one sail out, so Howard inching closer.
I think this was probably the best rally of the match. It was really nice, clean volleyball. Marlboro with a beautiful dig, and then look at that one-handed stab in the backcourt for Garcia. So back and forth, trading hands. The volleyball the quality continues to improve and get better, and that's what you want. You want to be playing your best at the end.
Laying out was Carrasco. Quick bump set back. Off the hands of Carrasco. Donaldson credit her with the kill. That's her 12th.
Did you see Carrasco's face? She wanted to let that go, but her instincts told her to grab it. I think that ball may have gone long and out of bounds. A much-needed point for the Rattlers, who now trail by 3. Awesome defense.
Well, I'm with you on that, but like you said, something in her head said, go for it. You see that dig right there, just keeping it alive.
Great extension with that left hand, keeping it alive. There it goes off the net. And then check out the libero, Carrasco in the back, thinking that ball's out of bounds, but she ends up reaching up and touching it. And so point goes to Howard. That was a big point right there. So instead of it being 21, and that would have closed the gap, you better believe she wished she could have that one back. But at the end of the day, just incredible defense in the backcourt by Valentina Carrasco.
And you have to tip your hat to Coach Sean Kupferberg. Came over from Jacksonville U, building up that program, and he took a program. He said, you know what, we were just very bad in 2012. No other way to say it. And then he was able to get some of the recruits and really change the mindset and the status quo and making it a winning one as opposed to losing. So you see 3 20-plus win seasons for him. Again, back-to-back potential MEAC championships, 3rd straight appearance here in the title game, and they're looking to take it to a new level. Being able to compete with some of the Power 5 conferences, and he feels like the more success they have, obviously, the better they can get. One for Taylor Donaldson. I don't know. I wanted to liken it to a basketball player, a move. It was just reaching high, like almost the lift off of like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with a nice sky hook or something.
And it was deceptive. You thought the ball was going to be set to the outside. She kind of took that half step in and got up so quickly. And here's some more spectacular defense. Howard just will not let that ball hit the ground. Great defense. Look at that. Finally, the Rattlers win a long one. Usually when those rallies go long, it's Howard who's coming up. Howard, it seems like it's just contagious. Nobody wants that ball to hit the ground. There is the block. We call that a tool. It hits the block, goes out of bounds, and Florida A&M will take it, trailing by 3.
Okanade, nice off-speed shot, finding where the defenders are.
Okanade, a smart player, hitting .258 on the season, so she knows when to make good decisions right there. That was one of them, a nice little tip shot.
That was a no-doubter off the arm of Garcia.
Garcia with just her 7th kill, still hitting in the negative, but that's the type of hit that we're accustomed to seeing from Garcia. She needs a little more of that. Great save right there by Garcia. That could have easily been into the net or the antenna. That's unfortunate. After that long rally, for it to end like that with a miscue, miscommunication, and just a roll into the net. And here we are.
Howard 1 point away from closing this one out and winning their 2nd consecutive MEAC title. Shanks it on the serve. That's it. The Howard Bison are the 2016 MEAC volleyball champions in back-to-back seasons.
And there's that trophy they're bringing out. I love the emotion, the fire, and you can see the joy on all the players' faces. It's been a long year, and this has been the goal all along.
Well, they were perfect throughout conference play, 12-0. They hadn't lost since September 17th. They've been on a roll now 16 straight matches, and as MEAC champions, they punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament.